Good morning. It's February 10th, 2025. I hope you have recovered from Junk Journal January. I took a little hiatus to get some other things done. And today I have for you a small storage box. This is a viewer request, and it's not a how-to, it's an how I did it. So this is based off of these boxes. They're just the smallest Amazon boxes that that company uses, and I make storage box out of them by simply gluing down the flaps, painting the outside flat black, and then decoupaging some prints or book paper or what have you over the paint, and then sealing it with a clear water-based sealer. Again, I'm using that tinted clear glue. So I tint clear glue with, one of the distress inks, and it works great. Here's what they look like sitting side by side on my desk. There's three of them, and they're usually sitting up above my head on that shelf that you can just barely see right up there. So they never actually, though they're decorative, they actually never get shot when I'm doing a demonstration. This time I needed an ephemera box, and I needed ephemera that would hold 5.5 by 8.5 or 8.25, and some other smaller size tags and envelopes and that sort of thing. So the first thing I did was glue down all the flaps onto the inside walls. The next thing I needed to do is measure the inside dimension for that shelf and make two spacers per edge of all of the subdividers to hold the dividers in place so they would just slide right in. You can see on the bottom, I only put one spacer per divider because it was very hard to get a ruler in this box. This box is 10 inches wide, and so a foot-long ruler is not going to work. I have a couple of 6-inch wide rulers, but I just found the whole thing to be more cumbersome to try and use a 6-inch ruler versus just putting one divider in for those smaller sections. So then the next thing I did was paint the whole box. I took the dividers out first, and then I painted everything separately. For this box, I wanted it to be a navy blue or a midnight blue. All the other boxes are black, and I just wanted a change. So I put some tempera paint, some blue tempera paint, into my blue acrylic paint, and then I added some black acrylic also to darken it. This is the first coat, and I sanded it back a little bit to get rid of any drip marks or brush marks or anything that I didn't like the look of. I sanded everything lightly again and recoated with a second coat of that mixture. And then I wanted to put some decorative paper on each of the ends. So let's see me do that. I took out the sections because I didn't need them in there. And I had this paper that I bought from a large discount company that you're all familiar with. And the papers are beautiful. However, the printing is horrible on them. There are some uh, places on these papers where there are streak marks or the ink didn't go down and saturate the paper. So I decided I would splurge, and instead of using these papers for end papers in a nice junk journal, I would use a couple of them for this box. As I said, the box is 10 inches wide, so I had to use the long side or the long side of the paper along the long side of the box, which meant the pattern runs sideways. But I don't really care that much because, as I said, this paper isn't printed very well. And so I left a little bit of the border of the box showing, meaning I cut the paper down a little bit smaller. I used PVA glue for everything, in this make except those braces. For that, I used Fabri-Tac or 3-in-1, whatever silicone-based glue I happen to have up at this point. Smoothed everything down, made sure that it was adhered well, and set it aside to dry. And just as an aside, those interior braces for the subdividers are made of 4 pieces of box flap from Cheerios boxes, otherwise known as chipboard, my favorite thing to make anything out of. The long divider in the back was made of a different box flap, corrugated cardboard, just like this box is. And the 2 short dividers were made out of 2 pieces of the same Cheerios box chipboard glued together. So they're double thickness each, and the whole set of dividers was covered in brown packing paper, as was the box, before I painted and did anything else. Before we move on to stuffing this box and figuring out where it's going to live, I want to show you 2 more things that I made out of these Amazon boxes. This first one is a 6x6 or smaller stencil keeper. It keeps my stencils right where I can see them, and it was made out of a beach novel that just fit perfectly into that box, and I folded the pages so I would have sort of a waterfall effect, and now I can see my 6x6 stencils a whole lot better. I also have one for my distress ink and 2 of my washi tape dispensers, also DIY, made out of a different kind of cracker box. Nevertheless, my stencil and my ink pads are always where I can see them. I find that if things are not where I can see them, I probably won't use them. And I don't use my stencils nearly enough, nor do I use my stamps nearly enough.
All right, we're going to shoot from standing up, which this desk was made for, and yet somehow for me, it's a very awkward angle. I have a couple of paint touch-ups to do, but other than that, we are ready to go. And this is a very tight fit. I don't know if you can see it. I guess I won't see until post-production whether you can see it. By the way, these were attached to this with a slit, and I don't know if you can see it here, but here's the brace for it. I don't know if I would use a slit in this to attach these again or not. I guess it remains to be seen whether I make any more of these boxes. And then this just friction fits in the back and floats freely so that I can adjust it as needed. Here's the rest of those decorative papers that I needed a home for. I have a bunch of envelopes, oversized window envelopes that I've been collecting and had no home for. Now I have a home for them, and they will live right here. And these will go in the back. Let's see, I have some other, I've tried every ephemera keeper you can imagine. I have ephemera everywhere, and my plan is to get all that ephemera out of those ephemera keepers and into one spot where, as I said, I can see them. I had no home for my envelopes that the handmade envelopes. Here's some more of that paper that you buy from that big company I don't talk about that didn't have a home, as well as I have some labels. And I'm glad I left this divider free floating, this short one down here, because I actually have to move it over to the other side to accommodate this pad of paper. And I'll know next time to factor that kind of thing in. There's some blank envelopes, some just random pages that I think I was going to use for a journal and don't know what happened to that idea. The center spot is for tags that are either made or unmade, it doesn't matter. And the tag material, you know, all the offcuts, will go in the back, the long ones. Here's some more of paper from that company we don't talk about. And this will live in that same spot. I also needed a place for my envelope of envelopes, the handmade ones. So that will also live behind the paper. And then last but not least, my sheets of sayings. Let's see, where are these going to fit? I guess they can fit back here. Since I know what's in this ephemera keeper, I just need to see that my sheets are there. And since this is not going to live on the upper shelf, at least for the time being, I don't need a handle, so I can slide it back into the place that I made for it.
I'd like to thank the viewer who requested a picture, and I went halfway between a picture and a tutorial. If you have questions about any of the little boxes you've seen me make or seen shots of that I've made and would like a tutorial, let me know in comments and I will do my best to shoot one for you. I can already tell you right now that that little ephemera keeper sticks out onto my desk too much, and it probably won't stay there. But for the time being, that's where it's going to live until I clear up a pile of scraps on my desk. Thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate it every time you come and visit me. God bless you, and I'll see you real soon.